MLB The Show 26 has been out for about a month now, and I've spent a good amount of time diving into franchise mode. Now, if you saw my review of the game, you'll know that I wasn't the biggest fan of the new trade hub system that was added this year. However, over the last few years, there have been several changes to the mode that I was a big fan of. These included the new free agency system, the new scouting and drafting system, and the new storylines, league news, and farm report screens. However, despite these improvements, franchise mode in MLB The Show is still a far ways off from a perfect representation of what it's like to run an MLB organization. Several features that are pretty standard in franchise modes in other sports games are just absent here. Also, several major parts of how an MLB team is constructed and operated are just not represented in any way. There's plenty of opportunities within MLB The Show franchise mode to make it one of the most in-depth and immersive modes of its kind within the entire genre. It's very possible that within a few years, the mode could be unrecognizable from where it is today. So, here are my ideas for features and additions that I think would greatly improve MLB The Show franchise mode.
Sports Gamers Online is the #1 source for the sports gamer.
Online franchise. Now, obviously, this is the main request. Online franchise is and has been the most requested feature to be added to franchise in MLB The Show since it was removed in MLB The Show 18. Nearly a decade later, it doesn't look like there's any real hope of the feature returning anytime soon. The reasoning behind the initial removal of the feature was to focus on the online stability of the series. The official statement announcing the removal said, quote, "We knew we had to prioritize the stability and speed of our online infrastructure for MLB The Show 18. As such, online franchise mode didn't make the cut this year. This was not an easy decision to make, and we understand some of you will be disappointed with this change, but we believe focusing on continuing to improve our online performance was the right priority for the Show 18. It's kind of funny considering that 8 years later, we still don't have online franchise back in the game, while the technical state of the online performance in the game is in a worse state now following the troublesome release of MLB The Show 26. Honestly, I wouldn't hold your breath hoping for online franchise to return anytime soon. The mode still has so many issues to iron out before trying to have multiple people play it online with each other. Progression and regression. For years now, an overhauled progression and regression system has been my most requested feature for MLB The Show franchise mode. In MLB The Show 26, this actually saw some decent improvements. It seems like some adjustments were made so now top prospects develop faster. Also, it now feels like players have a chance to continue improving much later into their career. While I like these changes, there are a few more I would like to see. My main focus is with the training system. Now, the current training system has been exactly the same within franchise mode for as long as I can remember. The issue with the current system is it's hard to see for yourself if setting these training regimens actually has any effect on how your players develop. One thing I would like to see added is the ability to manually progress your players, similar to how you progress your Road to the Show player. In my vision, this would be very similar to college football's player progression part of the offseason. This system is very satisfying and exciting as you get to visually see your players' ratings go up in real time. This also allows you to control how players develop to fit both your playstyle and your team needs. Another progression-based feature I would like to see added are development-focused players. This is an idea I'm ripping straight from Madden NFL. This feature would allow you to set a limited number of players in your organization as focus players. These players would gain a slightly increased number of tokens towards ratings upgrades throughout the season. This could be used to fast-track your top prospect to the big leagues, help get a struggling prospect back on track, or help an aging veteran hang on a little bit longer. Position changes. Another idea I'm lifting from both college football and out-of-the-park baseball are position changes. Now, right now, you can go into any player in franchise and set their position to whatever you want, but that's kind of immersion breaking. I want an interactive way to get players to try and learn a new position. Here's my idea. During spring training, a new screen would open where you can have any player try out a new position. Before you select to have that player try out the new position, you'll be given a % chance of them being successful at learning that position. If the position is similar to the one that they currently play, the chance of success will be increased. This would be like a center fielder learning left or right field, or a shortstop learning second base. Also, more difficult positions like shortstop and catcher would in general have lower chances of success. At the end of spring training, you'll be informed if the player successfully learned the new position or not. If they're successful, the position will be added as a secondary position, and you will have the option to make this the player's new primary position. This new system would both make adding secondary positions for players fun and interactive, while also giving spring training some actual meaning within the mode. As it is now, spring training is something that players usually just simulate past without a second thought. Speaking of spring training, I have another idea for how to make it more enjoyable. Spring training cut days and position battles. I would love to see both cut days and position battles be added to make spring training actually mean something. This idea stems from some older Madden games I used to play. In real life, in the final days of spring training, you'll see players being dismissed from the spring training team and assigned back to their respective minor league teams. With this feature, you could either select from a recommended list or go position by position and send players down to the different minor league levels. There would be multiple cut days throughout the final 2 weeks or so of spring training. Along with cut days, position battles would give players a reason to follow along with the action going on during spring training. If you have a young prospect that's fighting to make the big league team, or two vets with similar overall ratings, a position battle would be triggered. There should also be a dedicated screen for tracking and following all of your position battles at once. International free agency. Another one of the most requested features for franchise mode is international free agency. This is one of the biggest ways MLB teams acquire talent for their organization, so it really needs to be added to the game. First, I would like to see full MLB International Amateur signing period be added to the game. Teams would have a pool of money to try and sign international amateurs into their minor league system. Players would have to choose to either go after that A potential star or spread the money around to get as many decent prospects as possible. Secondly, I would like to see professional international free agents be added into free agency. These don't need to be actual international players, these should just be randomly generated players. Sometimes they'll be, mid-level players, but every now and then you might get one of those elite-type players like an Ichiro or Shohei Ohtani. They would have the full player card with some made-up stats from their time in their other professional league. This would add some extra excitement to free agency because you would never know what new international free agents would get generated. This would help mix things up in free agency, especially in the early seasons where you see the same free agency classes in each playthrough. All-Star Awards and Hall of Fame voting. Now, this is something I am unashamedly ripping straight from Out of the Park Baseball, as it's one of my favorite features in that game. Also, I understand most players probably won't care about this, but I would love it so much. I want to see full voting for all-star teams, awards, and the Hall of Fame every year in franchise mode. I also want to be given the option to submit a ballot myself. This is something I really enjoy in Out of the Park Baseball. It keeps me more immersed in my league due to having to look and see what other players are doing around the league. I want to see who had a hot start for the All-Star voting. At the end of the season, I want to have to make the hard MVP voting decision like we saw with Judge and Raleigh last year. I want to look at the whole of a player's career and ask myself, is this a Hall of Fame resume or just a Hall of Pretty Good resume? I also want full stat tracking where I can go back and view the full voting for awards and Hall of Fame for each year. So if I want to see who finished 8th in MVP voting in a certain year, or how many Hall of Fame votes a player got in a certain year, I should be able to see that. I would also want to see that on a player's card as well. This leads into the next item on the list as well. Better stat tracking. MLB The Show needs to have much better historical stat tracking in franchise mode. Baseball is the sport where the numbers matter the most, so it's disappointing how few of those numbers are actually viewable within your league. First off, I would like to see the top 100 lists for all of the biggest stats. This would include the top 100 for things like hits, home runs, wins, strikeouts, saves, etc. This way I can see the top players in my league climb those all-time lists as they try to pass some of the greats. Second, I want to see the records expanded throughout the mode. I want to see team-specific records for both a full career and a single season. If I were playing, say, a Dodgers franchise, I want to know if one of my players is close to becoming the team's record holder in a major stat. Lastly, I want more historical record keeping for things like awards, all-star teams, etc. I know I mentioned this in the past entry in the list, but I did want to add that I would like to have this expanded into the past as well as the future. I should be able to scroll back and see who won National League Cy Young in 1980 or who won AL MVP in 2004. Minor League Rehab Assignments. Another feature I'm pulling from Out of the Park Baseball that I don't expect many players to care about, but I would absolutely love to see come to the show, are minor league rehab assignments. In out-of-the-park baseball, players who are injured for an extended period of time begin to accumulate an unknown amount of rust. This rust will cause players to perform poorly. To remove the rust, players need to play games to knock off the rust. You're able to send players on these rehab assignments to knock off the rust in games that don't actually matter. This would be an awesome feature to have in MLB The Show. Rehab assignments are an important and realistic part of the game. It's also something that's fairly unique to Major League Baseball. I mean, you don't see LeBron James going and playing G League games to get ready to come back from an injury. This feature would not only add depth and realism to franchise, but it would help it to stand out from the franchise modes you see from other sports. Contracts. With the free agency overhaul in MLB The Show 25, some features to contracts were removed. These included player and team options, as well as the ability to front-load and back-load contracts. While I really do enjoy the new free agency system, I do think removing these features was a mistake, and I would love to see them added back into the game. On top of this, there are some other contract options I would like to see added. First off is the ability to defer money in a contract. This is a very prominent subject within baseball at the moment, mainly due to the frequent deferrals made by the Dodgers. Some of the biggest names in the game today like Shohei Ohtani, Mookie Betts, Rafael Devers, and Jose Ramirez all have deferred payments as part of their contract. Adding in the ability to defer payments in a contract would add an incredible layer of strategy and complexity to both free agency and contract extensions. Along with deferrals, other contract options like player incentives, no trade clauses, and player and team opt-outs would be incredible additions that would add increased depth to negotiations within franchise mode. Also, being able to retain a portion of a player's contract during trade offers would be a great follow-up addition to this year's Trade Hub editions. More options and settings. The last thing on my wish list is to make everything I have mentioned above optional. This comes from NBA 2K. In those games, when you start a MyNBA playthrough, you're given several pages with tons of options and sliders so you can set up your NBA universe exactly how you want it. I would love to see MLB The Show greatly expand the options players have when setting up their franchise. These could include turning certain features on or off, such as instant trades, trade finders, submitting ballots for voting, etc. There could also be sliders to adjust the rates of things like salary inflation, how teams value certain ratings within trades, etc. This would really allow players to tailor the mode to how they prefer it to play and feel. So there you have it. That is my wish list for MLB The Show franchise mode. Now, of course, I don't expect all of these features to come to the mode, especially not in a single year. However, these are the features I think could be slowly added over the next few years that would greatly increase the quality of the mode. The mode has already come a long way within the last few years, but I believe it still has a long ways to go to be among the best in all of sports gaming. Well, that's going to do it for this video, everyone. If you enjoyed it, make sure to leave it a like and let us know down in the comments, what do you want to see added to franchise mode within MLB The Show? Also, if you like what we do here, make sure to subscribe to the channel and consider hitting that join button to become a YouTube channel member and get access to some exclusive content. And if you like our baseball content, consider checking out our dedicated baseball channel, SGO Dugout. And for all your sports gaming news and updates, make sure you stay tuned to Sports Gamers Online. I'm Brandon Satterwhite with SGO. Thank you for watching.